Well, that was a good time. You guys want to learn how to tear apart your dash on your 22 Tundra for any kind of customizing, running wiring, or anything similar. Watch this video, and I'm going to show you step by step how to tear apart your 2022 Toyota Tundra. Since we are going to be taking apart this entire dash, we are going to be working around airbags. It's always a good practice to disconnect the negative side of your battery. If you have the hybrid, you know your battery is back here underneath your rear seat. If you have the non-hybrid, it is underneath the hood like usual. So just go ahead and disconnect the negative side of the battery. And when you do this, just make sure it's tucked over out of the way, so that way there's no chance of it coming back up and making contact. All right, starting over here at the driver's side, first steps are very simple. Just remove your floor mat, set that aside. Then we're going to come to our door sill panel right here, just simply held on by clips. Get your fingers underneath it, pop it straight up, like so. Then we are going to remove the kick panel itself. You're going to have to reach up on the inside. It's held on by a little thumb screw. I'll show it to you when I get out of there, or when I get it out of there, but you'll feel it if you just reach up on the inside in here. You're going to twist it off just like you're unscrewing a nut or something like that. So it's just a little thumb screw. Okay, and that's what it looks like. When you go to put this back on, you don't twist it back on, you actually just push. Okay, so just set that aside, make sure you don't lose it. It's kind of small. All right, and then we can remove the kick panel. Now it is, once you have that thumb screw out of the way, it's also held on by two clips that I'll show you when we remove it. So just get your fingers, you know, on the sides of it or underneath it and just give it a nice little tug. So you can see right here and right here are the two other points that it's held on by. Now we're going to focus on this area right here. Very simple. This side panel over here. Plastic pry tool is going to be your best friend throughout this, basically throughout this entire job. You're just going to get your plastic pry tool in that little crease there, pop it out, and it'll simply slide out like that. And it's actually held in. These right here, when you go to put it back on, you actually slide those, you slide it in and then push it forward to lock the clips in place. Now to remove the vent, you need to remove this little piece first that's in between the vent and the console, or I'm sorry, the dash. So again, plastic pry tool, just get it in a crease. And hopefully my arm's not in the way, but it's very simple to do. Just get it in the crease, pop it loose, and there you have that little piece. Now the vent cover, I'm sorry, the vent itself is only held in by clips. So just get your fingers and pop it. Now it is attached to your dash panel, your cover over here. So when we pop it loose, you're gonna have to pop it and separate it from that area right there. And I'm just gonna slide this back in place for right now. This next panel right here, same thing, just clips. So get your fingers underneath it, on the side of it, and pop it out just like that. So before we go any further, you want to come down here, and underneath you'll be able to see two screws. This one right here, this black one, and over here, let me get that's my pedal commander cable. That screw right there, go ahead and remove those. Phillips head will get the job done. If you want to use a ratchet or anything, I believe it's a size 8. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going to use a Phillips head screwdriver to get those two screws out of the way. Once you have them two screws removed, you want to come up underneath and you're going to see 3 tabs. One here, one there that I didn't undo yet, and a third one right there. Basically, you can see what they look like. I already undid the corner ones. I left the middle one to show you. All you have to do is get your finger up in there and you just press it in and pull down. Again, there's 3 of them. I already did 2 of them. So once you do that, that will come down. And we just have to just be careful because your OBD2 connection is right there. So if you want to get this panel completely out of the way, to remove your OBD2 connector, you can see, you just take a pair of pliers or something, and you can see there's a tab on each side right there and down in there. Just push those tabs together. The OBD2 will pop out. I'm just going to leave this panel dangling here because I'm only doing this video just for demonstrational purposes, so I don't have to remove that all the way, but that's all you would have to do to get that panel completely out of the truck. All right, now we're gonna remove this entire panel here. What you need to do, come down, there's gonna be one Phillips head screw right there. You're not gonna be able to see that screw until you remove that last piece. It's behind a plastic piece, so you won't be able to see that screw well until you remove that last one. So go ahead and remove that screw, and then we'll pop this out of there. All right, screw is out. Now you have a lot of wiring harnesses behind here, so when you're pulling out, just be careful. I'll show you what I mean when we get it out, but it's also going to be attached over here. So again, just kind of slowly work along the edges and get it separated from all those spots where there are clips, which you can't miss it. I know it's tough to do this to get you a perfect angle while I'm trying to do this, but you know what I mean. It's once you get it popped, these clips out, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, looks like 8 total. It'll be hanging loose. And the other thing is, so you have all these wiring harnesses back in here, but you also have your hood release right here. If you want to remove this entirely, which I am not going to do this because I am not going to unplug all these wiring harnesses just for this video, but then you would also have to remove your hood release, which is right here. Very simple to do. Once you get your eyes up underneath there, you just simply slide the cable over and it comes off. Very simple to do if you wanted to remove this entire panel. Making our way around, this panel directly underneath your steering wheel, this is the part that's in front of your airbag. We are not going to remove that. So coming over to the next panel right here, simply held in by clips. So just get your fingers underneath it, start popping it loose. Again, just kind of one clip at a time. And you can see we also have our trailer control right there. So you can just come around the back and press in the clip and pull it straight out. Next up would be the little piece that sits between this vent and your dash here. I actually removed that and 3D printed a phone holder. You can see that right there. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to tweak that a little bit more, but that's something I may actually put on my website and offer. So I'm actually just going to remove that, but it is going to be stuck in those holes. So let me actually put the camera down here real quick. So you can see I designed it to where it actually sits in place of where that piece would be. Obviously you're not going to have this phone holder, so just all you would do is get the plastic pry tool behind it, pop it loose just like you did on the other side of the dash, and it would just pop right off. If you want to remove your panel around your dash, that's only held in by clips as well, so just pop it loose. And this is actually a good opportunity to clean your screen really good. So you can see it'll just pop loose like that. Lower your steering wheel as well, it'll give you a little bit more room. All right, so you can then get this out of the way. And I'm actually going to go ahead and clean that screen before I put all this back together. It'll give you a good opportunity to get in there and clean that up pretty well. All right, let's start working on this middle section here. These panels that are on the side, on both sides, this is going to be the same process on the driver and passenger. So this panel right here just simply pulls off. Both sides are off. So this panel here that's on the sides of your center console here, you need to pull them up. And you'll see why. It's actually easiest if you grab it on this front edge here. There's a little spot you can get your hands. So then you pull those straight up. That's how it hooks on. You can see the tabs that go down. Okay, so don't try to pull this one out. Pull it straight up. Next panel is going to be this one that goes over your controls right here, comes down the sides, and you'll see it kind of runs along the edge here. So what you want to do is, the way this is latched in, don't try to pull from the skinny legs down here. You want to come to the main body, and you might have to use a plastic pry tool. You want to try to snap the main body free like that. And then once you do that, then you can see the sides will just pop right out. There we go. So again, don't try to remove it by these skinny parts on the sides. Make sure you try to remove the main body first, and then these skinny legs on both sides will just pop loose with it. To make life easier getting the rest of the middle area uncovered, we're going to come over here to the passenger side. All I've done over here so far is I just removed the sill panel Here, I'll tilt the camera down so you can see what I'm talking about. All I did was remove the sill panel and the kick panel. Same exact thing as the driver's side. No need to show it on camera. It's the same process. All right, and then you're just gonna come to this side panel. That, again, same thing. Pop it out like that. Now, on the Pro, I don't know if this is the same on all the trims, but this panel right here that has the Toyota emblem on it and this vent, they are attached by a screw behind them. I'm almost positive on other trims, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've already done this on a different trim, you may be able to pop this vent off by itself without this piece, but I'll show you on the Pro, they are attached. What you wanna do is you wanna start over here on this edge, get your plastic pry tool in this crease, and make sure you're using plastic for obvious reasons. You don't wanna mar anything up. So you can see how just kind of work your way along and pop it loose. Once that's loose, then you can come to the vent and just give it a pop like that. Sorry, I think I just bumped the camera. Now, when you do that, it's free, but there's a piece that you have to reach in here. I'll show it to you right now. This white plastic piece is gonna be latched in this hole over here. So once you have all the tabs popped loose, just reach in, pull that tab through that hole, and now you can see it's free. And you can see back here, that screw right there holds these two pieces together. Now mine's a little loose. It may actually be loose for a reason, so when you put it on it, make sure it fits perfect. I'll check that out when I put this all back together. But again, these two are attached on the Pro. All right, so now we can remove this huge piece right here that goes all the way across to the driver's side. And again, just on clips. So get your fingers behind it, pop it loose, and I'll position the camera a little bit better so you can see the other side. So this panel goes all the way over to where your start button is. So once you pop that out of there, the only thing left holding this panel to the truck is the wiring harness for your start button. So just go ahead and undo that harness, just push the clip in and remove it. And now this entire panel is free from the truck. This panel here is only held on by clips, but before you undo them, come down underneath. Hopefully I can get you a good look. Right here, there's one of those infamous Toyota pop clips. So just take a little flathead screwdriver and pop it out of there. And that's what it looks like. So just get that out of there first, and then you can just see if I can do this one-handed. It shouldn't be too hard. You can just pull it out. It's only held in by clips. All right, same thing for this skinny panel right here on the other side of the glove box. If you look up underneath, you're gonna see, hopefully, another one of the Toyota pop clips. I hope I have it in camera or in frame. It's tough to get some of these angles, but you can't miss it. It's right here at the bottom. So again, just use your little flathead, pop it loose, pull it out of the bottom. Looks like that. And then we can go ahead and remove this panel here. Only held in by clips. Next, we will remove the panel up underneath the glove box and the airbag. So this is another airbag. We're not gonna remove that panel, but the one up underneath here, it's the same thing as the one that's up underneath on the driver's side. It's held on by these tabs. Like I said, I don't know if I could do it one-handed, but you have to push the tab in and pull down. There you go. So you can see it's the same thing as the driver's side. There's gonna be 4 on this side. 1, 2, 3, and then 4 in the other corner. So just go ahead and pop those loose and get this panel out of the way. Okay, so the glove box. I am not gonna lie, this is a little bit of a pain. It's not that bad once you do it. So there's 5 screws you have to remove. There's one right there. If you open the glove box, there's gonna be 3. Let me get the camera positioned here. You can't miss them, they're up in the top. Let me see if I can get you the best look. So there's the second one. So one that I showed you outside the glove box. There's number 2, number 3, and number 4. Okay, so those 3 are inside. And then the 5th one, the 5th and final one, is down. If you look at the airbag, this flap right here, if you get your finger behind there and pop it loose, hopefully you can see right here, that 5th screw right there. So 1 here, 3 inside the glove box, and then one on the outside over here, so 5 total. Remove all 5 of them bolts, and then I'll show you what we have to do from there. All right, so once you have them 5 screws, not bolts, once you have them 5 screws removed, basically it's held in there by clips. Now it is a tight fit though, so that's what makes it a little bit tricky. So down here where you pop that corner of the airbag cover out, just work your way along the edge between the airbag panel and the glove box, and just kind of pop it loose because it is attached to the glove box. So just work your way along. Now there's nothing else holding this glove box in place other than clips. So just pop your clips out across the top. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Once you do that, it's free from the truck. So you kind of have to tilt it down. And then right here, you also have a cable, the light for inside your glove box. So as you're doing this, just don't stress that wire. So I'm going to go ahead and unclip that as we're removing it. So there you have it. Okay, so again, it's not that bad. It's just a little bit of a tight fit. And when you go to put this back in, just kind of go at an angle. Make sure you kind of put it in the same way you took it out, and it'll make your life a heck of a lot easier. But there you have it. Glove box is out. So just wanted to give you an up-close look at how your airbag, so this is the airbag that's underneath the glove box. The airbag is actually underneath this metal part. If you ever needed to get at it, this is how it's held in place. So you basically, you push the panel forward, and then you can pop these black tabs loose. And then you can see it would lower down. There's your airbag in there. Okay, so that's actually how this is held on. So just pop those back over. And now that's secured back onto the airbag. All right, now we're having some fun. So back to the middle section here. This panel with your flashers and all those buttons on it, simply just grab, pop out. There is wiring harnesses behind it, so just be careful. Pop it loose from the clips very carefully. And then, again, you have your wiring harness. Now this obviously may vary depending on your trim, so just check behind here and remove your wiring harnesses. Before we do anything else, you want to remove your shift knob. Now this is actually more of a pain than it needs to be. I'm not going to be able to show you exactly what I'm doing while I'm doing it, but I'll give you a look once it's off. There's a couple little silver pins that you have to push forward. First thing you want to do is pop your boot down. Okay, once you have your boot popped down, up underneath here, there's a, I guess a pin is the best way to describe it. Again, when I get it off there, I'll show you exactly what I mean, but you basically have to get a very small screwdriver or something similar up in this area here and slide a pin forward, which will release the knob. All right, now the first time you do this, once you have those pins pushed forward, first time you do this, you have to pull up on this thing much harder than you would think. Okay, the second, third, fourth time I did it, it was actually a little bit easier, but let's see how easy it is right now. Yeah, that comes off much easier once you do it once or twice. The first time, you're gonna be pulling like crazy and you're gonna think something is wrong. You have to pull extremely hard the first time you pop this up. But now let me give you a look at the inside of this and what I mean by these pins. All right, so let me see if I can show you this real quick so you know exactly what you need to do to get this shift knob off. So you're looking at the rear of the shift knob. It sits on the truck like this, obviously. When you get up underneath there, hopefully you can see, but there is a pin right here and right here. It's actually the same piece. It's a clip, but you need to push those two locations forward. And let me show you what's going to happen here. I don't know, hopefully you can see that there's a silver clip in here. When you push those pins forward, you'll get a much better look at the clip. So let me just push them forward like you'd have to do if it was on the truck. And now you can see this silver clip. See that clip right there? That's what you need. Hopefully you can see this. That's what you need to pop forward in order to get the shift knob off. Now, to get it back in place, there's no way I can show you this. There's two channels where the two legs of the pin need to go back in. That's what makes it so annoying. I have no idea why it needs to be this hard to take a shift knob on and off. But when you go to put this back on, you need to get the two legs back in their channels in there, put the shift knob back on, and then take your screwdriver, get it in the front of the knob, and push the clip back. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I'm sure you guys can see what I'm talking about. Why it needs to be that difficult to remove a shift knob is beyond me, but that's how you do it. And not gonna lie to you, I'm tempted to take that darn clip off there, but I think you may actually need it. I'm not exactly sure on that. If somebody knows, feel free to comment down below. I'm tempted to take that clip right out of there and just see if it works without it. All right, now that the shift knob is out of the way, we can lift up this entire panel here in the middle. Again, wiring harness is underneath, so just be careful as you're doing it. So just start popping it up, popping it free. It is separate from this piece with the charger on it, just so you know. They may come up together, but they are separate pieces, as you can see. Now, it's a little tricky to do this with the shifter in park because the shifter is all the way forward. This would be much easier with the truck in drive, but obviously you're not going to do that. So just very carefully, just kind of pick it up so you get the shift knob out from underneath the boot, and there you can see it. Now, when you flip this around, I'll show it to you. Again, I'm not going to undo all these harnesses because I'm just simply showing this for demonstration purposes on how you remove all this stuff. But basically, let me make sure I'm in frame here. Yep. Okay, so you would basically just have to undo the wiring harnesses from the back of this panel, set the panel aside, and you're good to go. I'm just going to go ahead and set it over here off to the side just to get it out of our way to show you what we need to do next. All right, so then we can take this panel, pop it free. Again, wiring harnesses in the back that go to your charger. So if you ever want to do anything with this charger, or if you don't have a charger here and you want to add one, that's how you would get to this panel. So just undo your wiring harnesses. And there might be a couple spots where, let me grab my needle nose, where there's actually clips that you have to undo because the wiring harnesses, it's tough for me to show you right here. But the wiring harnesses are actually attached to the panel itself. So then you have to get your needle nose, get in there and pinch that tab to release the wiring harnesses from the panel. So there you go. So you can see that this little tab here was in the back of the panel, just holding everything in place. Next up, you want to come to the top here and remove this panel. Just get a plastic pry tool. It's only held in by clips. I've already popped it loose there in the corner, and then it'll just come up. Now just make sure to undo your wiring harness right there on the left rear corner there for your the 12-volt outlet. Now that piece is out of the way, if you look down in here to get the radio out, there's going to be 4 10mm bolts. You can see 2 right down in there, hopefully, and then there's 2 on the exact opposite side over here. Go ahead and remove those 4 10mm bolts, and we can get the 14-inch screen out of the way. That's also the same procedure for the 8-inch screen, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong down below, but I'm almost positive the 8-inch screen is held in the same way. Now, to get these 4 out of there, it does help to have a little bit longer of an extension, just because the way it's kind of angled, and again, you don't have a whole lot of room to work, especially in this on the 2 that are closest to the screen. So having that little bit longer of an extension comes in handy. And these are not, once you break these loose, I actually just use the ratchet to break them loose, and then I'll take the extension off of the ratchet and finish it that way. So I'll actually take it off like that, and then you can just finish unscrewing them by hand. Once you have the 4 removed, it's just gonna kind of pop out. Now just be careful, you don't want to scratch the climate control area underneath here. That's underneath down here. But if you just pull straight forward, you could cover that with some kind of tape or something like that if you want to. But if you're careful, it's pretty easy to get it out of there without scratching anything up. Now, before you remove all these wiring harnesses, I would recommend taking a picture just so you know exactly what goes where. Most of them are actually color-coded, or a good portion of them are color-coded. You really can't screw it up, I want to say, but take a picture just to be on the safe side. So just go ahead and remove all of the wiring harnesses, and we can take the screen and get it out of the truck. The other thing I'll show you real quick too is, because on the 8-inch screen, I think this may be different. Again, correct me if I'm wrong down below. I've never done this on an 8-inch screen, but the vents, so if you turn it around on the front, the vents are actually attached to the screen in a different manner than the 8-inch, I believe. On the smaller screen, I think you could actually remove the vents separate from the screen. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the 14-inch, it's easier. Actually, not easier. I actually think you have to remove it this way, all as one piece. You saw it just pops out of there once you get those 4 10mm bolts out of the way. All right, so last but not least, we have our climate control panel. Once the screen is out of the way, get a grip on it and just pop it out of there, watching the wiring harnesses, of course, that are attached to the back of it. All right, so there you have it. Complete dash is torn apart. You can see everything that you can get to and get at. Give you a good look with all the panels removed. So all we're gonna do to put it back together is just simply reverse our steps. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If I think of any tips as I'm going through the, the reinstallation of everything, I'll make sure to include them here before we wrap up the video. But it's pretty straightforward. Just go ahead and reverse your steps. Careful with the wiring, and you're good to go. So here's a tip I wanted to mention, putting everything back together. So you remember this piece that we took off where we started popping it loose from the main body, and I told you not to start from these skinny little legs so you don't break them. Well, when you go to put it on, let me show you, those red clips go into, you see where they're lining up? They go into those slots right there. So what you want to do when you put this piece back on, line up both sides, and I'm going to try to do this one-handed, which probably is not going to work. But what you want to do is you want to line up these clips with their locations first, do it on both sides, push those into place, and then come up and get the main body positioned and pushed into place. If you try to do the main body first and snap that into place, if these clips aren't in their location, what's going to happen is they're going to be too far forward, and you're going to have to try to bend it to try to get those in. So hopefully that makes sense, but basically just make sure the skinny legs on each side are lined up and pushed into their location first, and then come up and push in the pop clips all around the front. So here's what I mean. You can see over here on the driver's side, I have those 3 clips on the side all snapped into place. You can see the main body is still loose. This side is still loose. So get these 3 clips, these 3 areas, lined up where they need to go. Push it forward, and you'll hear them kind of lock into place. Then come up and push the top into place. If you try to do that top part first, you might run into trouble with those skinny little legs on the side. All right, so you can see reinstallation is just about complete. And honestly, if you just reverse your steps, this is not hard at all. I just wanted to show you this piece right here again. So that white clip right there, what you have to do is you have to take that white piece and make sure you put it in that slot right there, or it's not going to fit properly. So let me see if I can do this one-handed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but you guys could see hopefully where it's going. Just take your other hand. Obviously, you're going to have 2 hands when you're doing this. Take your right hand and guide this white piece back into that hole, and it'll allow it to fit properly. If you don't do that, basically, you're not going to be able to push this flush onto there because that white piece is going to get in the way. All right, make sure you get that lined up, and you'll be good to go. One other thing when you're putting these side pieces on, I think I may have mentioned it earlier in the video, but what you have to do is you kind of have to like slide them in. You can see on this back side how they're not tabs that get pushed into anything. They actually slide back in there. So you have to kind of go at an angle. See if I can do this one-handed. Kind of slide it back in there at an angle, and then once they're in, then you take the front and push the front closed. All right, guys, there you have it. Very simple to tear apart the dash on the 22 Toyota Tundra. It looks very intimidating when you see this thing torn apart, but it's honestly not bad. Step by step, very simple to do. Just be very careful with the wiring harnesses and things like that as you're going. But you want to do any kind of customization with these panels, or if you have to get behind there to run wiring or anything like that, that's how you get this whole thing torn apart. Hopefully this helps somebody out. If you guys do have any questions, let me know, and we'll get them addressed for you. As always, appreciate you watching. Make sure you like the video, give it a thumbs up if it helps, if it helped you, because that really does help the channel grow. I really appreciate all the support. So till next time, we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.